Just how deep down the rabbit warren do you want to go?
Dry sanding.
Yeah, that's why they don't want to wet sand. They don't want to get wet.
Okay, right.
So
Maybe they like really don't want to, like, you know, washing on their skin or something.
Yeah, that too. That's why we keep our distance.
Far out, must be so hot, poor fella.
Yeah, he's got all the safety. That's why he's fully hooded up.
Yeah. Oh, this is so awesome. Like, we don't ever get anyone to do anything on our boat, and yeah, this is a first.
It's a good feeling, eh?
Yeah, might as well make the most of the area while we can with
cheaper labour.
Cheaper labour. So Talila's 2 months now. She had her second round of vaccinations yesterday, which is really important if we want to go travelling. So yeah, she's doing really good. She's learned how to grab things, and the first thing is my hair, of course.
She's got a fistful.
Yeah.
Good gal.
And we've got a few smiles out of her now, which has been so lovely. And she's making lots of more little cooing noises and stuff. So yeah, she's an absolute delight.
She is.
Yeah, we hang out all the time. Hey girl, you're my little buddy, aren't you?
Yeah, ready to
just woken up. You just woke up, didn't you, girl?
So the boys have finished taking everything off now. I wanted to get all of that old black shitty antifoul off. That's like a Jotun Seaforce 90. It was cheap, and I guess you get what you pay for because it lasted, what, 3 months? So it was shit, even though I'd put multiple layers. But when we ended up on the reef, we used a different antifoul that we got from Mark and Rose, good on your legends. So we still have some of that left over, and we put that on the bottom of the keel and the rudder. And as you can see on the rudder is still perfect. And on the Seaforce, there was barnacles that already grew after a couple of months. And on this other stuff, this Seahawk stuff, which they used on their super yacht. So I can see why they use it, because there was just absolutely nothing on it. There was a little bit of slime, but all of that just comes straight off when you do a bit of speed. And because Nandji's got fang, we can do speed whenever we want it. And that washes all that off. But this Jotun Seaforce is just absolutely shit, and I wanted to get rid of it. So now that all of that is gone, we're basically back to these old anti-fouls. So the Seahawk should apply straight on top of that. I've just got to rough it up with a 60 grit. They sand it all with 60, but it feels pretty smooth. Before we reapply it, whilst they were sanding everything, they found this little hole here. It's like there must have been a bit of delamination previous, and someone has drilled a hole in there just to see if there was any water. And then they've just filled it up with Sikaflex, which is pretty strange. But the guy said when he sanded it, there was a little blister and water did come out. But there isn't much delamination around that area, so I'm not too phased about it. I'll just clean it up a bit more so I can fill it up with, fix it up with epoxy and do a little glass job over it. But that brings me on to the subject of today could be my worst nightmare, because when I came back and delivered shit, I was just having a look at the hull and I was tapping around on all the glass that I did and the repairs and just making sure everything was all good. And during that, I found, you hear that? I found some delamination. And now this is above all the areas of where I glassed, so it actually has nothing to do with the job that I had fixed, with the glassing that I had done, surprisingly enough, but it has flowed down into some areas of where I had glassed. And so, listening to all of that, there's quite a big area of delamination here. The delamination has been caused by something, and so I need to find out what that is. And the only way to do that is to put on a sperm suit and go absolutely ham with the grinder. So I've set up a bit of shade around here. It is pretty hot here in Malaysia. I don't want dust and shit to go everywhere. I'm just gonna have to get stuck into this with the bloody grinder. I'm not overly excited or keen about this, because this could result in, like I said, my worst nightmare. How's your day, mate? Oh yeah, it's pretty good, eh? Just bloody put a sperm suit on and 33 degree humid weather and sat on the grinder for bloody 4 hours. Great day. Had a bloody hell time. How about you, mate? Yeah, no, it's pretty good. I lounged by the pool. It's the conversation I'll probably have with Benita when I get home. How was your day, Bon? Oh, it was lovely. Poor Tallulah, you know, she cried a little bit. Oh. I actually think that's best case scenario. So this is all the lead behind here in the keel, and so it just looks like the glass is delaminated off of the lead and there's no water coming out. So maybe I'll put a little hole at the bottom here to see if there's any water coming down, but this could just be sick. It's just the fact that glass is no longer bonded to the lead. So if that's the case, I could probably just drill a series of holes and inject epoxy into it all to fill up the void. That would be best case scenario. Probably use a bit of epoxy, but man, rather than having to glass the whole thing, that'd be sick. All right, I'll just cut a little hole in the bottom and see if water comes out. So there is a little bit of water, really insignificant. Well, not insignificant because any bit of water is not good. But maybe if I just cut a heap of holes along the bottom so water can drain out if there is any water, then we let it dry out for a while and then I'll put some epoxy in it. I think that's a good idea. And it's just how deep down the rabbit warren do you want to go? Do I cut it all off and reglass it? Definitely water there. That's the end of the lead. This is where the lead joins the wood keel. So I think I'll just keep investigating a bit further here because there's definitely water in there, which would have caused that delamination the whole way because water, it just get behind that steel, you know, and it's just gonna, that lead I mean. Oh. Fully just hacked my finger with the grinder. If you've got weak stomachs, probably don't want to look at this. Just fully grazed it with the grinder out of sheer frustration. That's shit. That shit. It has to come off. It's just more fiberglass, eh? End of the day, it's just more epoxy. It's just more epoxy. I think the best option is to take all the bottom off here so the water has somewhere to drain if there is water all the way along, and then I can re-glass that and then inject epoxy in the top. But I might just check with Uncle, see what he reckons. I know he's had problems with his keel before where he injected a lot of epoxy into his keel. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to get this water out. And it'd be nice to know where it came in, to be honest, but who knows with that. That's a bloody rabbit warren you don't want to walk down. Alright, I'll just make sure this water gets out, so I'll cut all along the bottom here. Yeah, then I'll speak to Uncle. That water's coming out in this join here somewhere at the end of where the lead turns into, looks like there's a bit of bog fiberglass in there and in that join, so I think we just gotta open it up so the water can drain. I don't think I need to cut all that glass off. I reckon I could just glass up the bottom here and fill it up with penetrating. Oh, Although, do I want to just cut that off and be fucking done with it? Man. Yeah, the more I think about it, the more I already know what Uncle was going to tell me. And I already know in the back of my mind that I know what I should do, and that's to not cut corners. And I reckon if I just glass up the bottom and try to inject epoxy into this, it's cutting corners, because then there's no thread. The epoxy is weak, it's just filling a void. It's like, it's no structure, there's no strength about it. I know I'm just cutting corners if I do that. And honestly, it's probably going to be easier if I just lay up this whole thing with glass, because then I can just kind of do one big patch. I need to figure out what's going on with this, why it's come away from this lead as well, or steel. I don't even know if it's lead, it looks like it's steel. But it really needs, because the epoxy hasn't stuck to it, and even though epoxy does stick like shit to a blanket, yeah, it hasn't been roughed up or not. Maybe it's just old and that's what's caused it to come off of it. But I don't know whether there's some sort of putty or something. I might need a bit of Googling that bonds to steel, like the in-betweener between steel and plastic, epoxy. But yeah, I think I just need to, you know, that's just all coming apart. That's, look at this, like, I know that shouldn't be there. I know I should cut that off and re-glass it. Alright, you know what you need to do? Just bloody do it, mate. Thing is, it'll take me a couple of hours on the grinder. That's not such a big deal. It's more the putting it back together that takes fucking forever. Boats, eh? Bloody love them. Love them. Love them. Love them. Whoever said that sailing around the world is a dream life, it definitely is not easy all the time. Just cut it off, don't be a dick. Cut it off. Well, I said if you're going to do a job, do it properly. That's probably a couple of meters of glass I've cut off that was all delaminated. But I think I'm definitely doing the right thing. I don't know what I was thinking trying to inject epoxy behind that. That's just fucking silly idea. Yeah, so to get this sandblasted, I just got off the phone, and they can't do it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And considering we only have 30 days left on our visas till we need to get out of Dodge, don't really have time to wait 2 or 3 weeks for this to happen. So I'm just gonna have to spend the next, probably I reckon this will take 3 hours of cleaning up. Got a grinding disc on the 4-inch now, and so I'm just gonna have to smack it all with the grinder and clean it all up that way, which is good. Like then today I'll be able to get that first, like put the epoxy and that sort of stuff on like Uncle said. So I've started, and it's gonna take a very long time because I gotta smash all of that rust off. If you haven't already, probably about time you subscribe to the channel, so just to help give me that incentive to really push on through these times that are actually difficult, because sailing is not all about sailing. So subscribe, legends. Back to the grinder. I'm pretty happy how that's turned out, considering it's just smacked it with the grinder. So I used a grinding disc and then went back over with a 60 grit sanding disc just to like get in all those little nooks and crannies. It's not 100% perfect, but mate, it's about as good as you're gonna get, because I'm over the grinder for now. So I'll wipe it around with acetone, and then I'll quickly mix up some epoxy, get it all straight on so there's no time to rust. It's splash day! Woo! I wish it was that easy. Where I've got a fiberglass under the bottom there's blocks underneath the keel, and I want to be able to wrap the glass all the way around the keel. I just want to do it in one big job, not have to lay it up, grind it all off, to then do another layer when they can lift up and put us in the water. So I got them to lift up Nandji today just to move that one block, so then I can glass underneath, and then just to make the process easier and faster. It's sweet, the boys have done their bit, they've moved the block. I guess it's time for Yosh to do his. Sperm suit and grinder. Final sperm suit. No, actually I lie. The second to final sperm suit. We'll wash it all down, wipe it with acetone, give it a quick fair, and tomorrow I'll give it a final sand. Don't really need to fair it, but you know, Nandji's a high performance sailing machine, so just want to make it look sweet. We have the surveyor coming, and I'd like to see if he picks up on this glass job. That's my challenge at the moment, to see whether he finds it or not. It's good to come back to a boat and have stuff completed. With the limited time on our visas, it's really good to, you just need to get other people to do stuff for you. And so for painting the bottom, to put the epoxy primer on, and then all this barrier coat before the anti-fouling goes on, it's just so much easier to get someone else to do that, so I'm freed up to do other stuff. And you know, we're trying to organise Marley getting sent back to Australia, and so we had to do the drive to Penang yesterday, so he can get his vet appointments, so everything's on schedule for him to leave. And then you come back, and the very following morning I walk over to Nandji and you see this. It's a good feeling. Things are progressing and we're closer to the water, because now we just need to put the anti-foul on. Little bit disappointed in my glass job, just because the fact you can still kind of see the edge. I didn't build up the glass thick enough or fair it out well enough. It's not like it's any problems with the job that I've done. I've just wanted to make it so you couldn't see anything, but it is what it is. It looks good. I'm pretty happy with it all still. Barrier coat's on, and we just got it anti-foul and in the water. So limited times, 2 weeks left until we need to leave. We'll go in the water in a few days. Oh yeah, baby.